Adrian, thanks for joining us today for this conversation. Could you please shortly introduce yourself, what you've been up to? You have a very colorful and interesting professional journey.
Yes, first of all, thanks for the invite, Peter. Yes, well, if we keep focusing on the technology domain, I've been active in product management, in a lot of, let's say, mobility-related unicorns, and spent some time in the insurtech space. And I basically enjoyed a lot growing professionally as a product manager from entry level junior product manager position all the way to chief product officer, and that was a very interesting trajectory. Right now I kind of coming back to my roots, and I'm active into the startups and entrepreneurship domain. I'm running my own startup. And quite focused on the insurtech space. But then on the other side, I'm always focused on technology events and entrepreneurship in Central Eastern Europe, obviously with more accent on Romania since I'm Romanian, but in general on Central and Eastern Europe. And I'm obviously one of the co-founders at Core Timisoara, which is a co-working space in western part of Romania, where we do organize a lot of events for entrepreneurs, for product management, a pre-accelerator. So quite involved in this space of hopefully more and more growing technical entrepreneurship in Central and Eastern Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I have been to many of your events over the last decade, and you have always managed to bring amazing people together. And you also built reputation in facilitating events and also hackathons and other kind of get-togethers. Can you say a few words about that experience?
Yeah, right at the beginning of my time exploring the space of digital entrepreneurship, I stumbled upon the startup weekend concept, and then I participated to some events, and then I started organizing and facilitating. So for many years I was very involved in startup weekend, and of course we were organizing not just startup weekend events, but a bunch of other domains, also more technical ones like hackathons. So for many years, I was this very cheerful stage monkey at a lot of these events, which is where we also met, and where I also met a bunch of extremely interesting people working in this space in this part of Europe.
And that brings you over to this event that we are organizing now, which is one of the first AI no-code, low-code hackathons happening in the region. What's your experience with this topic, AI, low-code, no-code stuff, and then, of course, the hackathon aspect as well?
I think it's pretty obvious that we are super fortunate to be part of this amazing technology shift. And, as we were talking with hackathon participants earlier today, whatever we might be talking about now in terms of technology and capabilities, it's gonna be completely outdated in 30 to 60 days just because of the sheer speed of progress that's happening. And it's obviously clear that a lot of business processes will be positively, because I'm overall very optimistic about this technology. I think they will be positively impacted. And of course, things will change in the society, and there's a lot of discussions about, what are the jobs of humans in the coming future. But I do see a lot of opportunity to grow and accelerate businesses by leveraging AI-related technologies. And I think it's very useful for people from all areas of activities to try and get immersed with the specificities of, let's say, AI-based technologies, just to understand what it could do to their job, what it could do to their domains, how it would impact the unit economics in specific domains, because these technologies are here to stay and they will just continue to rapidly evolve. So it's good learning.
One of the missions, or the main mission of this hackathon now, is to prove that at least to a certain extent, you can create digital products without having coding skills. How many years would you predict that it's going to work smoothly? And, we discussed in the beginning that when it comes to deeper stuff like the database side of the things and more complex applications, it's not yet possible. how much time would you give to this to work out smoothly?
I mean, sure, like if we can choose some sort of a snapshot in time where you could say, you can take a product with like average complexity, let's say an e-commerce, right? Like where there's a landing page, there's a few buying flows, products, a shopping cart, an FAQ section, and then the actual integration with the payment processor, right? Like it's not very complex. It's web technologies with some sort of APIs in the back for payments and so on. I could reason up, like even now, someone that has a decent understanding of technology, I'm sure they could get this project live, over 2-3 days at most by leveraging AI. But that's also because some of the gaps in, like connecting databases, deployments, version control, debugging, and so on, it's done by someone that knows and understands technology. However, all of these things will continue to get automated, and we're going to get to text-based prompt to full end-to-end product in probably like 1 or 2 years, at least for this type of, let's say, simple to medium products. And of course, the moment you're going to have way more complexity, then if you have compute, you can just increase complexity. So there will be, for sure, always areas at the edge of the technology where people with high technical skills and coding skills will continue to deliver much higher value compared to someone that's doing just prompting. But the reality is it's much easier to do it as an individual, right? Like if you want an analogy, like think 40 years ago, if you would want to publish your writings for your small, city, village, whatever. It was very hard. Printing technologies were not that advanced. You'd need a certain number of copies. The formatting, you'd not have software for formatting, only some very expensive. Right now, you can start a blog or a podcast or a TikTok account virtually in a couple of minutes, and you can share your technology. Of course, you still can't do a lot of like you can't be a TEDx speaker from like today to tomorrow. You need to put in a lot more work, increase your skill, your knowledge, so you can like communicate more interesting things. But from point A to like having your, virtual newspaper, virtual presence, all these problems have been solved. So I see AI-related technology in a similar way. A lot of things that need a lot of complex technology work and design right now will be able to be done almost exclusively with AIs. As I said, like if you want a small e-commerce website, that's for sure not going to be complicated. Not sure if we're going to want so many websites that are visible by humans, since probably a lot of the traffic will be machines reading it. So for sure, we're going to start to build products that are entirely dedicated to other AIs to, communicate and extract data in a more efficient way rather than, read pixel by pixel from a screen. But leaving that aside, those simple products you will be able to build almost entirely as a non-technical person. Just like you can quickly create an email account right now and like just send emails. It's not a big philosophy, where this was a philosophy and complicated thing to do, like 30, 40 years ago.
Absolutely. And, our region has been pretty strong also on the global stage when it comes to outsourcing.
Yes.
Right? And that also started changing, not just because of the AI, but even before AI became a thing, slowly we started building our own products. You were part of that kind of switch. I hope it's going to be edited. So, you've been part of that process yourself as well. And, but with AI, things just seems to be like really going even faster and faster.
Yeah.
How do you see that change happening now?
Oh, I'm very excited about it. As I was saying, like I think this part of Central and Eastern Europe was great for technology because we had so many talented people that were working as like software developers. And we were working for other people, for other companies, for other businesses, because it's much harder to create a business, right? Everyone was coding, but no one was deciding, like, why are we building this feature?
And generally speaking, it was a thing that everyone knew that practically business skills were missing from this region.
Exactly. And this is also why I lean so much into product management, because I understood that the why in the developing of a feature is helping a business in one way or the other. And I think this is where probably AI will have a harder time being fully creative in like, what new feature or what new product to build. But then the human can do this. And I'm super encouraging to everyone that's thinking about this technology to get better at business, to get better at unit economics, to get better at building these products and understanding how they work as a business. Because the part of how are we going to do the design and how are we going to code it is going to become simpler and cheaper every day. And this is especially a huge opportunity for software developers because these AI assistants work at such a high level of, economic consultant that with any sort of this AI tool, you basically have almost the same level of consulting that you would get from, 100,000 euro worth of consulting services. So if you have some technical background, it's going to be even easier to acquire the business related knowledge because you have your like super cheap, super efficient business analyst or business consultant next to you. So I encourage people to try to use them more. And this is also what we do at this event, right? Like we get people together, we share with them a few practical business use cases that are actually happening in companies every day. We have these technology partners that are like having these technologies deployed in production, and they are building practical use cases to see how they could solve for a problem at their work to help them be better. And then I strongly encourage people to absolutely try and learn more of this.
And last question, what's the latest, like wow experience you got from any AI related solution?
Oh, I just love how quickly I'm prototyping new flows. So whenever I'm thinking about potential changes to the flow in one of the projects that I'm working on, I have the current flow on the website, and I can quickly just take a print screen of the flow, just go into any of these tools that allow you to quickly prototype, that write code for you. I just upload the print screen and I just explain to the AI that I want certain changes in the flow. And then it does, and then it's clickable. And then you can share it with everyone in your team, and everyone immediately understands what needs to happen, and everyone can discuss and contribute. So you get to this kind of like writing product requirements to prototyping to everyone kind of like trying it on from like a week to 30 minutes. And that is pure productivity gains. And if you put this into the unit economics of a company, how much you gain from productivity by leveraging these tools, I think this is just going to be like compounding value that the businesses can create.
Another last question recently just popped up in my mind. Generally speaking, how much percentage do you think we can save on human labor when it comes to developers? Let's say in the next few years, let's say 100 was needed in 2020, in 2030, which percentage of that will we need practically for building digital products?
I look at it a bit differently in the sense that not necessarily like if you had 100, you're going to need 20, because that's a math that everyone can do for themselves depending on what their developers actually do, because they might do very simple things, or they might do insanely complex, right? Like OpenAI will not replace their whole engineering team with OpenAI.
Absolutely.
Right? Because they are at the forefront. Like there's no repositories of that have been created in the past that AI can learn from how to create new AI. So that doesn't necessarily go like, but I would look at it as if you take kind of like an average software developer in an average company, how much will their productivity increase? And if their productivity will increase 3 to 5x, sure, one of the consequences is that you might not need that many people. But on the other hand, if your productivity goes 5x, then your profitability as a company should increase. Then you can spend way more money on growth and on marketing, and it might end up that your company grows 10x in revenue, and you don't need to go from 100 to 20 engineers, but you can keep the 100, just gain 10 times more revenue and 10 times more customers. And I think this is the exciting part because like a lot of companies will want this extra productivity. But then the flip side of that is you can actually start these businesses with a very, very small team, which is also what I'm doing in one of my startups, where we are just like the 3 founders that are like working, leveraging AI tools. And we move so much faster than I could have dreamed of like a couple of years ago.
Thank you, Adrian, for your time. It was
Thank you, Peter.
Awesome.
Thanks.